Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to O'Neill's Grill for the weekly Fan and Press Luncheon. We're here with Head Coach Everett Withers of the JMU football team, the co-champions of the CAA after their 38-29 win on Saturday against Villanova. And the Dukes earned the number 5 seed and a first-round bye, and they will not play until December the 5th at 1 p.m. inside Bridgeport Stadium. Welcome in, Coach. Congrats on the CAA championship. And first, would you like to start with some team updates and your Team Player of the Week awards?
Thanks, Chris. First of all, talk a little bit about injuries just so we can get that out of the way. Rashad Davis did not play last week. Rashad Davis had a bout of adult chicken pox. First time I ever heard of that. So he's recovering from that. We expect to have him back to practice maybe sometime this week. If not, he'll be back hopefully by Sunday of next week. The only injury out of the ball game this past week, Raven Green had a pinky finger dislocated. They've had issues getting it back in place. They may have to do some surgery to handle a ligament that may be around it, around that finger that may be hindering them getting it back in place. He may miss a day or so this week, but will be back available on Sunday of next week. So nothing major there other than getting that thing back in place. Everybody else, the normal bumps and bruises this time of year that you have. So we expect to have the cast that we've had the last few weeks back up and ready to play. Players of the week. Special teams players of the week for us. Kind of interesting group. Carden Johnson, special teams player of the week. Demetri Holloway, and then obviously Brendan Ravenel for us. Demetri and Carden did a great job on some of our cover teams, going down and making plays. Demetri back in a position that we knew we needed a guy to go down. He made some tremendous plays for us on our kick coverage teams. And Carden made 2 tackles on punt. Did an unbelievable job for us there. And then obviously Brendan had the 98-yard opening kickoff return. So he did an unbelievable. Other guys that did really, really well. Jordan Brown was awesome on punt coverage and did some really good things there, and obviously did some other good things. So Jordan did a good job there. Offensively, player of the game for us, Brendan Ravenel. Did a nice job. Obviously had a big touchdown catch there. 6 catches for 54 yards and a touchdown. Defense, players of the game, the defensive secondary. The entire 5. Raven Green, Jordan Brown, Taylor Reynolds, Rashad Davis, and Marcel Johnson. All are player of the game. They played really well, did some really nice things, and those guys all deserve player of the game awards.
Well, Coach, we mentioned that the team, the co-CAA champions, first CAA title since 2008. Yesterday, you found out you were a number 5 seed, and you're going to play the winner of Colgate, New Hampshire. Talk about the excitement level of watching the selection show in the club with your team yesterday.
Well, yeah, I think there was some excitement about obviously getting selected to the playoff tournament. I think the excitement about being a 5 seed was good. I think our kids are excited. I think our kids are really just excited to have the opportunity to say they're in the playoffs, and obviously going in as the one of the CAA representative, one of the 4 CAA representatives is big for our league. We go in with the best record in our league. So I think that's big for our team and co-champion. So I think we're excited. I think the kids are excited about getting started. We'll start practice today, and I think they're excited about getting started with the process of continuing the journey.
You talked about some of your players, special teams, and defensively. Let's talk about that a little bit. A +4 turnover margin, didn't turn the ball over once, forced 2 fumbles. or recovered 2 fumbles and had 2 interceptions. Also, between special teams and defense, scoring 3 touchdowns. Talk about how important that was for your team to have those playmakers really step up in a game that maybe the offense wasn't running the ball as effectively or passing the ball as effectively.
Well, Chris, our motto of the week was whatever it takes. And it was going to be a game that we were playing a really good football team. And we knew whatever we were going to have to do to win the game, we were going to have to do it. And there was nobody that wasn't on red alert for our team this week as far as offense, defense, special teams. We knew we were going to have to play really good special teams, and that was a major factor. And I think our special teams were A1A in the ball game. I think defensively we knew they were going to be tough to stop, but we knew if we could get turnovers, that would be a big thing, and we got them. Offensively, they were the number 1 defense in the league, and we knew they were going to be tough to move the ball on, and they did some things. They blitzed more than any team we've ever played. So for our special teams and our defense to step up and play as well as they play, and our offense not turning the ball over, when you start getting into playoff situations and you start getting this time of year, those are critical things that have to happen for your team.
All right, well, thanks, Coach. At this time, we'll turn it over to members of the media. Gentlemen, questions for Coach Withers?
Coach, this team has been very good at blocking out noise, blocking out hype, and I think when you have the number 5 seed on your back as well as the title of Co-Champions of CAA, that carries some weight. But how do you, as a coach, manage the team in terms of having that label and blocking out maybe any additional noise that comes with that?
I think the leadership on our team handles that. I don't think I handle it as a coach. I think the leadership on our team has been able to handle that all year long. Again, we go by the motto of E plus R equals O. And all the events that are out there, the media putting all the hype on you early in the year, and then when you start to stumble a little bit, the media kind of punching you in the gut and those type things. We've handled that really well all year long as a team. And I think our responses are the responses of a mature group of leaders on our team handling the young guys on our team, because we have a very young team, but we've got 11 seniors and a unity council that I think they do a really good job of helping our team stay, right on even keel throughout the season.
What do you take away from the experience of last year's playoff run going into this year's in terms of preparation?
Last year's team's totally different than this year's team. But we do look back at times and try to learn from history. It's a totally different mindset. We're not playing in the opening round. There's a lot of things that are different than last year. I think what we have to do is what we normally do. This is a bye week for us, just like if it was week 9 in the season. We want to get better as a football team. We want to work on our fundamentals. We want to get healthy, and we want to get a little bit of a jump start on who could be our opponent in round 2. We don't know that. So, we learned from last year, but there's not a whole lot of similarities.
As a follow-up to that, do you try and get a head start as a coaching staff? Do you try to get a head start on looking at your 2 opponents, or do you mainly just focus on yourself and just wait until you find out who your opponent is?
3 things we'll work on: getting healthy, fundamentals, and a head start on our opponents. Both of them.
Your team this year's had opportunities to pick up fumbles, get interceptions where they didn't convert. They did on Saturday. How gratifying was it for you for the defense to play like you kind of knew they could and maybe quieten some of the noise that had been thrown at them this year?
Well, I think our guys the last 2 weeks have done a really good job of capitalizing on opportunities. And I think, for 2 weeks, I think that's been a big part of our success as our defense has come up with turnovers. That's been a big part of us winning the last 2 games. So, hats off to the coaches, hats off to the players for their efforts and their planning of how to help us win the football game.
Saw Dean in the backfield. Some of your players talked after the game. It was just a new wrinkle, something different. Was that something you initiated going to him? Did he come up to you and say, hey, Coach, I'd like to maybe get into the backfield a little bit? Because I know he's one of those guys you lean on for a lot of different things.
We would never listen to a player to come up and say, hey, Coach, I want to get in the backfield. That would never happen in what we do. It was something we thought it might be good for our football team.
Four teams from Colonial. Can you kind of speak to the strength of the league this year? And getting UNH in there was obviously the big one. Can you kind of speak to that?
I think it's a very good league. I think it's one of the best in FCS football, and I think the Colonial deserves at least 4. I think Towson should have been in also.
What were you kind of happiest with during the regular season? What were you most pleased with this regular season?
The closeness and the family atmosphere of our football team.
Whoever you guys play is going to be on kind of quite the roll. I think Colgate would have won 6 games in a row, UNH 5. Do you have to guard against maybe playing a hot team in the playoffs? Is that something you guys consider?
No.
I'm just kind of wondering how you, as a coach, will kind of watch that game. Do you plan on watching with others, taking notes with the other coaches? How do you have an idea of how you watch that game?
Haven't thought about it yet, to be honest with you.
Do you like the 1 p.m. start? Is that something you prefer? Do you like an afternoon game?
Whenever they want us to play, I'll be there.
What are kind of your opinions on playing a CAA team in the second round of the playoffs? That's more familiar than most people would be with a playoff opponent. How do you feel about that?
That's the way the NCAA works it because of finances and cost cutting. So we kind of figured we'd be in this region playing somebody that we may know and, somebody in this region. So, yeah, I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be fun for the league.
Thanks.
Coach, looking at the team, when they made the announcement that they were a 5, as a coach, you talked about the closeness of the team, the injuries they've overcome, the things they've had to battle through. Just talk about what was going through your mind watching those guys celebrate like young children the way they did, because they were very happy, a lot of hugging going on. Talk about you as their head coach, what you've seen these guys go through, the hard work they've put out, just your thoughts on their reaction.
Well, I think the reaction was genuine. I think it was heartfelt. I felt like these guys, they kind of looked at it as an accomplishment. They felt like that it was something that they worked really hard for. And they also knew that they were going to get a bye week and they're going to get to go home for Thanksgiving. So, we told them that a week ago, if we got a bye, here's the schedule and here's how things work. So there were some incentives there for getting that seed for our players.
Any other questions? All right, well, JMU will be on a first-round bye this week in the FCS playoffs. They will return to action on Saturday, December 5th at 1 p.m. inside Bridgeport Stadium to take on the winner of New Hampshire and Colgate. That game is this Saturday. Thanks, Coach, for joining us. Thanks for the media for coming out to O'Neill's. Coach Withers will be back next Monday as we'll get set for our second-round game, either against UNH or Colgate. Coming up next, it's Kenny Brooks of the Women's Basketball Dukes.
Thanks.